down. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. Igniting the fire within you, exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful, tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud, shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful, tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud, shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down. Down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise together.
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shouting loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
Stay the at home. The Rona is spreading. is no joke. It's no time to work or roam. The way you can fight it is simple, my friends. Just stay the at home. Now, technically, I'm not a doctor, but mother listen when I read a poem. So here I am, Sam Jackson, imploring you, keep your ass at home. If you want things to get back to normal, don't panic. Just use your dome. Wash your hands, stop touching your face, and stay the at home. It's no time to gamble. Look around, you're not at a casino. Just stay the home as if your name was Trenton Quarantino. Sure, you can still see your friends. Use the app on your phone. But unless you just ran out of groceries, please stay the at home. Thank you for doing your part to flatten the curve, because that is steep. And now that you're home, please feel free to go to sleep. The end.
Yep, we got the mic on. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Eric Dawson Radio Show. How are you guys doing? I'm on with Vincent Squire, U.S. Senate candidate in New Jersey. He's hailing from South Jersey, Camden County to be specific. How are you today, Vincent?
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, Vincent. Doing all right. A little energized today. I got coffee. I got juice. I had a nice breakfast this morning, so if Diane is listening, I'm sure she's very pleased about that. And
no doubt, because Diane texts your fiance.
I know.
Brother, when the women in our lives get together, it's all over for us.
Yeah. But you know what, though? I read something on somebody's page today, and I took a screenshot of it, and it said that, all of who I am and everything that I've accomplished, I didn't do it by myself, right? And so when you say that, you start to recognize those people who nudge and push and pull you in the direction that you should be going in. Like a Diana, Murray Clements, and Amina, and my parents, and you too, Vincent. I mean, there are times when you and I talk, and there's a great deal of wisdom that I get from our conversation. So I think that in all of the things that we reflect on during this time, one of the things we can reflect on is how folks in our lives have shaped us, and I think both ways, right? Shaped us for good and for bad. And certainly if you find people who have shaped you for the worse, you should work to discard them during this time. There was another post a friend of mine put up. I'll see if I can find it, because I thought that it was very, very clever. And I think I'm going to start reading some posts when I see them, and they really resonate. But this is another one. It says, God gave us a timeout and sent us to our rooms. Have we learned anything? I like that. It's like everybody was told, go to your room. Go to your room. Have you learned anything?
No, he gave us an old school send us to our rooms. In the old school, when your parents sent you to your room, that was a jail sentence, because there was nothing in your room but a bed. See, today you send a child to the room, they got a TV, they got Wi-Fi, they got games, they've got a refrigerator.
In fact, Vincent, do they ask to go to the room?
No, they go themselves.
Right, send me to my room. Go ahead, I dare you.
I dare you.
I double dog dare.
That's all you're gonna do? Okay.
That's pretty funny stuff. So listen, the title, if you will, or the theme or the message from the show, or the thing that I'm trying to provoke people to think about, is whether or not in the age of COVID-19 you are financially secure enough to survive this pandemic.
Come on, Eric. I thought you were going to come up with something complicated. That's so easy.
Wait. Shh, don't give him the answer yet, Vincent.
All right.
Shh. Let's keep him in suspense for a little while. Let's keep him in suspense. And listen, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at this entire thing because it is a comedy of errors, right? So I'm going to ask you the question. And since I'm not Skyping with anybody today, I could actually, Vincent, go in the feed and see what people are saying. So I'm going to do that too. But I want to.
Okay. Where are you going?
Oh, I'm going into Facebook. Yeah, I'm going into Facebook to see what people say. So the question that I'm asking again, guys, is, are you financially secure enough to survive this pandemic? So think about that. Thoughtfully answer the question. And as we talk about all the different things that we talk about, we're going to circle back to that and try to see where we are. So the other things that I've got to talk about is, well, I got something light to talk about. And I talked to you about this yesterday, Vincent. So in terms of financial security, I've liberated myself from cable. And
Congratulations.
I think a lot of people need to consider that. We're paying over $200 and some for cable. And, when you're not thinking about it and the bills just come and come and come, you just have it, automatically withdrawn from your account, right? You don't pay attention to it. It just kind of becomes like that nagging backache that you have, right? You got it. You never go to the doctor. You just learn how to live with it, right? So we learned how to live with the cable bill of $200 and whatever dollars, like insane. And one day during this whole thing, so being sent to my room, right, to reflect and wondering if I had learned any lessons. One lesson I learned, Vincent, was that I shouldn't be paying that much for cable. That I shouldn't be paying that much to watch television. I don't care how much money I make. I shouldn't be paying that much money to watch TV. So I got Fire Stick. And now I got to find out though, because I don't know what's legitimate, what's not. So I'm still trying to figure that whole thing out. But I do have a Fire Stick, and I had somebody who wanted to give me, for $30 a month, access to all these movies and everything else. Some of the movies are in the theater, right? So I'm imagining that can't be legal. So I don't want to promote that. But I do want to say that between Apple TV, a Fire Stick, or a smart TV, those kinds of things, you can whittle down that huge cable bill you have. And literally, without bringing any more money into your house, without increasing your revenue, right, you could have more disposable income.
Of course.
Right? So, I want to know who else did that? Who else during this time? Because with all of the financial insecurities that are taking place, I'm imagining, Vincent, people are having to make tough choices, right? Do I keep the cable bill or do I buy chicken? Do I keep the cable bill or do I get my medicine? Do I keep the cable bill or do I keep my lights on? And so, wait a minute. So Mark responds, he says, yes, however, I am still gainfully employed and I have a business. But if all of that were to go away, it would be a challenge. Well, so, see.
But that's hustling backwards. If you have a business, and like most small businesses, you want to minimize your cost and expense because it increases your bottom line, your revenue, or your income, either made or saved.
No, he's answering the question about whether or not he is financially secure to survive the pandemic. So his answer is yes. He says, however, the reason he's able to do it is because he's gainfully employed and he has a business. But he says, if all of that were to go away, if he were to lose his job, and if his business was to fold, like 50% of small businesses are going to during the age of COVID-19, then he said it would be a challenge.
Well, for him, he great situation
Mm-hmm.
because he has a business and he's gainfully employed. So he has two forms of revenue in which hopefully he has secured himself that if one happens to fail, he can rely on the other. But we're looking at a small percentage of Black America that has that. Now, don't get me wrong, a hustle is a beautiful thing. In fact, a hustle is the same thing as entrepreneur. And we have a lot of Black people who have hustles and not enterprises, businesses, or establishments. Some people call themselves enterprise businesses and establishments, but in all reality, they only have a hustle.
Right.
You know, so, and here's the big difference for all of the...
So I was going to say, yeah. So let us go through the nuances, right? The differences between a hustle and being, I would say an entrepreneur is a hustler, right?
Well, correct.
I would say,
technically,
yeah,
an entrepreneur and hustler have the same mechanics.
Yeah, and then there's this graduation, right? Because there's a formation, right? There's it formulates itself into something more organized. I don't know if that's even a word, but
You're right. It graduates at some point in time. Your hustle graduates to an entrepreneur. And the difference between an entrepreneur and a hustler is that an entrepreneur is registered. You see, if you have a business without official articles of recognition, be it corporation, sole proprietor, even a business privilege license if you're just going to stay locally in your city, or business privilege, mercantile, wherever your township calls it. That's what makes you an entrepreneur. You see, now in the event, and this is the big difference, in the event of this COVID-19, when they start those stimulus checks to small businesses, the only people who get recognized for these loans are people who are recognized businesses.
So let me back up for a second. So because words matter, right? And I had a conversation online this week, and I want to get into that too, about Donald Trump and this disinfectant stuff, right? I had a long debate with somebody who was defending Donald Trump. So please help me circle back to that, because when I talk about words matter. But the pure definition of entrepreneur, right? And this is why it's different than a hustler. It says an entrepreneur is a person who organizes and operates a business or businesses, taking on greater than normal financial risks in order to do so. So organize business, right? So what you're saying is absolutely correct, Vincent. See, if you're a hustler, then it's kind of like having a bucket, right? But you got a lot of holes in it. And so when somebody goes to fill your water bucket up, right, with money, meaning, it just kind of pours through. But when you're an entrepreneur, then you seal those holes up so that when water gets poured in, you're able to retain more of it. And one of the examples is if you're an entrepreneur and you have these articles of incorporation or whatever, it allows you then to do what? You file taxes, right? You're able to get tax breaks, right? Your write-offs and such like that, right? So you don't have those holes in your bucket. So at the end of the year, the entrepreneur is filing his or her paperwork and is able to recoup some of their losses that they may have incurred during general operation of their business. But a hustler, on the other hand, because of the amount of holes he or she has in his or her business, because they're not organized, that money just kind of pours through and they lose it. So entrepreneurs right now are able to capitalize on some of the stimulus money, right? Because they have those articles that you just talked about. So when it came time to file for the small business, relief, they were able to do that. The hustler wasn't.
That's right.
Those are the holes in your bucket.
That's right.
There we go.
You see, the reason that a lot of black or African American or whatever you want to call yourself, okay, I'm from the old school, so you were just classified as black. If your grandmama was black, you're black, okay. So, but a lot of people do not do the legitimacy of filing and being recognized because they think that they can escape the taxes.
Nah, the tax man always cometh.
Correct.
He may cometh late, but Vincent, he cometh.
He come.
Yes.
And there's nothing like seeing Treasury agents with guns, knocking on your front door and taking
I've
everything
never
that
seen
you
that.
had.
Well, I've not seen it personally. I have.
No.
I have seen it on television now.
But that's the true power. And see what a lot of blacks don't recognize in doing that, you do such a disservice to your race, because American politics does not tend to operate amongst the numbers, because they believe that they already have the black vote when they register as a Democrat. What American politics tend to recognize is your money. If you do not have a reputable or somewhere where they can say, okay, he's making X amount of dollars, even though he is cooking his books, he does have something that registers that says that, okay, there is a level in which we can now partner. That's what politicians do. They partner with those who have the resources. And it doesn't take billions of dollars to partner with them, because a collection of entrepreneurs in a particular area now has power. And you can wield these politicians to serve your agenda as well. So when you do that, when you do the side hustle, and you keep it a side hustle for the last 20 years, and now you're hiding money because you've made more money, and now you've got these big cars and nice houses, and so you're thinking that you're getting over. No. You're doing okay as an individual, but collectively you are screwing the rest of Black America.
Yeah.
Or blacks in your town.
That's correct. So listen, Anisha just asked me a question, and Anisha, I was so busy this weekend, being an entrepreneur myself, and so I was not able to get that, but I will work on it. I'll try to have it done today. Remember Friday, Vincent, I said I was going to put together the list of organizations that are backing Trump, that are funding these small groups that are popping up all over the place, causing all kind of mayhem, talking about get back to work, and they're out there without masks and gloves and things like that. So I started doing the work, Anisha. I didn't finish it, and I don't want to put up incomplete work. So I'll finish the work, and then I will list some of those organizations for you, at least the ones that I can ferret. So thanks for reminding me. I'll get that done. So words do matter, right? So that's the difference between a hustler and an entrepreneur. Listen, Donald Trump is trying to spin back this whole. Oh man, where's my prop? My prop got moved. I have my jug of bleach. He's trying to roll back his comments about. He's saying now he was just being sarcastic, right? About disinfectants and whatever else he said, that you can inject light into your skin or under your skin, and inject yourself with disinfectants. And so I was literally back and forth with this young lady about it, and she retreated to a place. And sometimes I do this, Vincent, and Amina, she tries to get me to stop because she said, Baba, it's a waste of time. But what I know is this. You have people who read what other people put up. And so I feel sometimes like I got to go and defend it, right? Or I got to go and challenge it, so that the more weak-minded people who might succumb to such nonsense might see another perspective, and it might jar them in some way to be able to push back against it. So that was my quest over the weekend. And so I went and I engaged this young lady, and I said, well, state your position. So she said, well, everybody is saying that Donald Trump talked about Lysol and bleach, and he didn't talk about Lysol and bleach. He said disinfectant. I said, okay. I said, so I'll grant you that. He didn't say Lysol and he didn't say bleach. He said disinfectant. And she said, and in fact, you know, when you, she said, chemotherapy is a disinfectant. And she said, and if you have a vaccine, it is disinfecting because you're infected and you're being disinfected. I said, okay, so I got where you're going.
No, incorrect.
I know. But I said, okay, I know where you're trying to go. I said, let's assume for a moment that you are technically correct. I said, the common use of the word disinfectant is what we're talking about here, really, right? Because when you look and you see that all of these emergency lines in New York and other places were getting phone calls, they were being inundated, in fact, with phone calls from people asking, was it okay to drink bleach? Was it okay to drink alcohol? Was it okay to drink hand sanitizer? So I said, so if you were technically correct, I said, then I don't want to argue that. I'm going to give you, I said, I'll forfeit that because it's not even worth it. I said, we can agree that it is not common use in the medical industry. If you were to go ask 20 doctors would tell you, no, it is not common use to talk about disinfectants, consuming them. I said, so now common use is what we're used to. And so now we see that the President of the United States, right, in his language has confused people. I said, I'm going to take the high road on this one. So let's say he just confused people. It was an honest mistake. I said, all I'm asking him to do, and I think other people, is to come back and correct it and say, you know what? I realized that the language I used was not common language and that people are actually consuming bleach and alcohol and hand sanitizer. I said, so this was my final move in this thing. And then I'll tell you, she capitulated. I said, if him coming back on television and saying and correcting himself would save one life out of the 300 plus million Americans, wouldn't it be worth it? I said, so I'll grant all your other points. But the point is that somebody right now, would you agree, is about to consume some bleach or some alcohol, and it may cost them their life because of what came out of the president's mouth. And he now knows it because you have all of these manufacturers of these products coming in offering disclaimers. So he knows what he did. And you're defending it. And she came back, to her credit, Vincent, and she admitted that it was wrong.
Well, good.
So I think I did some good.
Well, you have to look at two.
But he still hasn't said anything about it, right?
Right. Because he doesn't take accountability of his words, first and foremost. When I was running for office the first time, a lot of people came to me and said, well, you're going to have to change your level of speech because you are too direct and you like to crack jokes, and some people don't take it as a joke. Mm-hmm. So what you say for some people may be life or death. You have to watch what you say and how you say it. Now, and if I could backtrack, when you get a vaccine, it's not a disinfectant. All right, a majority of vaccines consist of antibodies, which teams with your body to fight off the virus that's affecting your body.
Right, but she wasn't ready for that, Vincent.
Yeah. So she was wrong about very much.
She was wrong from the beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah. Her whole premise was flawed. Hey,
right.
So Vincent, do you think that Chris Cuomo's wife? Did you read the article?
Yeah.
Do you think that she was persuaded by Donald Trump to put bleach in her bath?
No, I don't think that she was. I don't think that she ever will be. I don't think that anybody with half a brain would take what Donald Trump says with a grain of salt.
Yeah, but she's promoting putting bleach in your water, in your bath water. And now Clorox has actually come out and said, no, do not do that.
Right. And Lysol immediately posted a disclaimer saying, warning, this is not for consumption or any type of medical use on the human body.
Yeah.
Yet, see, Donald Trump has had a group of people drinking the Kool-Aid since he was running for office.
Well, now
We're going to build a wall, and Mexico's going to pay for it. Drink the Kool-Aid. Oh, the economy under my administration is the best ever. Drink the Kool-Aid. Oh, the African American and Hispanic unemployment has been reduced since my administration. Drinking the Kool-Aid. Oh, you need to liberate your states because your governors won't open it up. And they're out there drinking the Kool-Aid. Even black people out there running around posting videos talking about it's a hoax. Drinking the Kool-Aid. Now he wants to end it for you by telling you, drink the bleach.
No. He said drink the disinfectant.
Yeah, okay. Drink the disinfectant.
The disinfectant, right. The sanitizer.
Yeah.
So, listen, don't drink it. Don't drink it at all. At the beginning of this, and I'm mixed about this.
Oh, Eric, before we go,
Yeah.
Here's the big thing. See, the body consists of viruses. Some are good, some are bad.
Sure.
We have viruses that actually fight off the bad viruses.
Mm-hmm.
Disinfectant removes all viruses and germs from a surface. So not only will it remove the bad viruses, but it will in your body, but it will also remove the good, causing your death. It is very poisonous. I cannot state it enough. You know, that how many children before the coronavirus, drunk bleach and died, just being curious children. Come on, people. You're much smarter than that. And there's a huge difference between Lysol, the antiseptic that you use as mouthwash, and Lysol, the disinfectant that you use on your surface and counter.
Okay. Hopefully people get it. Hopefully. So I'm a little... Tell me what to do, Vincent. Because my daughter, my birthday's coming up is it next week? The 3rd, whatever the 3rd is. Is that next week? I think it is. Yeah. It's next week. So she wants to bake me a cake and wants to drive up from Philly to bring it to me. I don't want her to. I love her. And I love her enough to tell her that I don't want her to come up and bring it to me, right? Just mail it to me. Just mail it to me. Is that wrong?
No, I think you're being a good parent.
Right?
Why?
I think I am.
Yeah.
I mean, it was touching that she's gonna. And Vincent, it is an amazing cake. It's like a triple chocolate cheesecake. But she and her girlfriend want to come up and see me and bring it to me. But if I do, maybe we'll meet in a park and we'll social distance, right? But she can't come to the house. And I don't know if driving, an hour and a half, to sit in a park, maybe that'd be worth it to her. It'd certainly be worth it for me to see her. But, these are the things that we have to really consider, right? Yeah. Hello, caller, go. Caller? Vincent?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I don't know who the caller disappeared. Caller, please call back. So, I have very, very mixed feelings about it. Maybe they're not so mixed anymore, right? I think that's what I'm going to do. And tell her that, if she wants to come up, I'm happy to have her come, but maybe we'll meet at a park where we can socially distance ourselves, and I get to see her, she gets to see me. We get to do like an air hug from 6 feet away. Do some 6 foot away selfies and everything. She can just kind of leave the cake on the bench, and I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love my children and I love the sentiment, but I don't want my children to risk their lives, and just to, honor my birthday. No, I love you enough. This is going to pass. We'll have that opportunity where we can do it right.
Yeah.
But for right now, I love you and I want you to stay home and be safe.
That's right. There we go.
I can't. I'm not going to let my ego and my pride stand in the way of my child's health. And for all those people who think Donald Trump is right, okay, you want to follow him, give it to your kids and then yourself. I think that happened before in Guyana with Jim Jones.
Mm.
They gave it to the children first, and then they drank it. I mean, come on, let's put an end to the nonsense.
Yeah.
See, the problem that we have in this country right now is that stupid people are running it. Mm-hmm. And when someone in power says something totally stupid, it empowers a lot of people to be just as stupid or stupider. And we really have to get out of this situation where, this jackass mentality is ruling the world. We're in this situation because of a jackass and his pride. Let it go. Lives are at stake.
Hey, did you just see a headline just came through, just so that you guys know? And it is from Bloomberg News. Literally just came through. It says, coronavirus lingers in air of crowded spaces, new study finds. And the hits just keep on coming. While these states are opening up, some of them, right? It says, coronavirus lingers in air of crowded places, or spaces rather, a new study finds. I don't know when it's going to be over, Vincent, but no time soon, I don't think.
No, yeah, because we all want this huge magic pill or bullet or a vaccine that's going to make everything better, and it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Science has a way of doing the test of seeing how it works on small scales and then bring it to a larger scale, then a larger scale before it is approved. And we're not there yet. So we have to be careful what we do.
Let's take this call. Hello, caller, go.
Hey, good morning. It's Mark. I was just going to say to what you just said about the coronavirus lingering in the air. I mean, from my knowledge, that was already understood, that it survived in air for at least 3 hours or more. So I don't get what the heck is going on where the government just doesn't realize, listen, we have to take a higher level of precaution that we should know, because by now we know enough about the survival rate of this virus in different environments, that we know that it can float in air. So somebody coughs, right, outside in public, and somehow or another it can last on air droplets that will carry it for at least 3 hours. So anybody that walks within that path, let's just say, that person coughed in for 3 hours is potentially, a victim of it, all right, or can be someone who gets it. So, these new, they're playing with it, I guess is what I'm saying. And it's just obscene to think, or absurd to think that they're still talking about, well, let's reopen. Right, let's find a way. There is no functional way right now without a therapy of some sort. I'm not going to say a vaccination, but at least a therapy of treatment that we know is effective at reducing fatality from it.
Right, but part of the issue, and I go back to what I asked in the very beginning of the show, Farrakhan, is whether people are financially secure enough to survive
Just think about this, right? This is how you think about that. No billionaire ever took the billions to the grave. You got to leave it or the government takes it. It doesn't matter how much money you're making to survive alive. If you end up dead from what you're doing, it means nothing. It means nothing. I could go out today and open up the barbershop. I can make $1,000 today in the barbershop. And then catch a disease that by the time 2 weeks, when it comes time to spend that $1,000, I could be dead.
I understand it. But I'm talking more dire than that. And I'm not saying that what you're saying isn't true. But I'm talking more dire situation than yours in the barbershop. I'm talking about the person who has 3 kids right now who are crying because they don't have anything to eat. And that's happening right now. They're so hungry that their stomachs are literally, how do we say, touching their backs, right? And they're trying to figure out.
And I got you. But what I always say to that is, Eric, it must have been that situation before. It had to be that situation before the coronavirus.
No.
Correct.
No, listen.
I'm not going to say. I have to. I don't agree.
Listen, I'm saying. Listen, what I'm saying. Listen,
I gotta agree with him on this one.
Listen.
Thank you. 1 month is not going to destroy you.
No.
If it does,
but it hasn't been.
But you were already destroyed. Okay.
Right, but you gotta. But it hasn't been just 1 month.
It's been a month and a half.
Right.
Like, we went out of work.
Wait a minute. But we
March 12th. March 12th, brother.
What?
That's when New Jersey shut down. March 12th.
Right. But
only at the 20th of April.
But Farrakhan,
23rd of April.
What I'm suggesting to you is this: that every day, every minute, every hour counts. Right? So when you say it's only been 6 weeks, that 6 weeks is a long time for somebody who might have lost their job like 5 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, 6 weeks is a long time if you're living day by day.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you. And so I'm not just talking about, so those people, they were living a very precarious life to begin with, but they were able to provide something. But I'm saying that that something has dwindled down to zero. I'm not discounting the fact that there's some people who have always been scraping and hungry and all, but I'm saying that there are those who are living in the margins, and now they've teetered over to that side too.
Well,
and when you talk about 4 weeks, 5 weeks of that,
I think we are. I agree with you, and I don't think you disagree with me. I just feel as though at this point, right? But you have people, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, saying, I got to go back to work. I'm starving. I can't pay this. I can't do that. All I'm saying is, to those people, I want to say, before you invest yourself in going back to the situation that had you where you couldn't survive without the situation, you better think of something. You better get on your hustle, like the beginning of the show said, and figure something else out. Because it's obviously not working. It is not working. If right now, and I'm not trying to be funny, if you're saying that you are 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, less than a month away from starving for yourself and your kids from whatever system you're using to maintain, it is time for a new system.
No, I'm not. Listen. I am not disputing that, and that's why I asked again. So those people, we're clear, right, that they are not financially secure to survive this pandemic, and so not being financially secure enough to survive it, you have food pantries which are like running out of food. There's an article that just came out that said Tyson Food chairman warns that the food supply chain is now breaking. Right? So I get the long term, but they're going to be people who are going to be rolling the dice. People who are willing to roll the dice now. Say, I got to get to work. I got to feed my children. Right, I want
to argue with you. You're right, but that's what the dilemma has been for me as I sit back and I look and I listen, and I'm like, I really don't know because look, I'm out of work. I've been out of work since March 12th, and Unfortunately, I was able to, go in the hole a little bit and grab some out. But I don't know what to say to people. I mean, what do you ever say to a starving man, right? What do you tell them? That's always been my theory. Like, listen, if I can't provide something different for you, go do whatever you got to go and do. That has always been my theory, right? So I don't know what to say to them other than you probably need to come up with a better plan. I don't know what that plan is for you per se, but as I hear people, as I look and I see those Minnesota people or wherever it was, where they were like, all coming out, the Trump people coming out saying we want our state to go back to work. But my thing was, if you want to go back to the same situation you were already in that wasn't truly helping you, then I don't even want to hear what you. For me, it doesn't say anything. I don't want to hear you tell me you want to go back to the job that wasn't helping you maintain better than this. And that's what I keep hearing from people. So when I hear that, I don't want to hear it. I'm like, you don't matter then. If you can't figure out how to improve your situation, I don't want to hear what you say. Because your situation isn't working. And all you're trying to do is maintain a situation that isn't working. And I'm tired of that. That's that status quo. And this show is based on changing that status quo. And people don't want to do it.
No, and I agree with you. And which is
if they don't want to do it, like Kevin used to say, you gotta stick a pin in them and let them die.
Right. So, but this is what, and we talked about this last week, which is why I applauded AOC so much for what she said. Right? She said, "Why would you want to go back to that?" Right? And then I posed the question. I said, "What if the 99% went on strike? What would happen?"
Yeah.
Right? So. I think that a little bit of pain for a whole lot of gain might be worth it, but folks have to be prepared to hold the line, and there are far too few who are, and as a result, people, are in pain and they want to go back to work, and as a result, if you read the headline that says, this coronavirus lives in the air, right? They're going to put more lives at risk.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Unfortunately, what was it? Cuomo just said it I think in his Friday thing, right? He was talking and he mentioned about the, survival rates of the virus, outside of the body. And that's where I get the 3 hours from, because I'd heard it before, but he said, I'm understanding now that it lives in the air for at least 3 hours. It can float through different droplets, or in the air for at least 3 hours. So when you hear that, it's like, you can't go outside. You can't do anything without some therapy that will help you if you do get sick. And, we're running to get for our paychecks or whatever. But like I said, I always say it as, we're going to get paycheck if you ain't going to be allowed to spend it. Because that's really what you're boiling it down to. You're like, am I going to, and is that risk worth it? I don't know what money at this point in my life. There was a time when 10, 15, maybe 20 grand a month was worth risking my life. I wouldn't say that today. When I was 20, you're making what you're making out there, doing what you do. And I'm like, okay, it was worth it. It was worth it to take those risks. Today, and sure it wasn't no regular paycheck. You wasn't going to give me those 500 hours a week to risk my life. I might have been doing that, every day or whatever. But not people. Why risk your life for such small gain?
Sure.
Right? And say, well, I got to do something. That just, it has to be a better way.
Yeah.
Well, the government already told you what your life is worth. It's worth $1,200. That's it. That's what your life is worth.
Hold on. Even worse than that, your life is worth $7 and some change an hour. Isn't that? That's really what your life is worth. Whatever the minimum wage is now, that's what your life is worth.
Right. So
minimum wage.
If they don't value your life, and they think that you're worth so little, and you have to have enough self-esteem to say that, no. My life is worth more than that. Seeing my children grow is worth more than, that $1 per hour. Seeing my children get married, enjoying a quality of life is worth going out there and risking it for nothing. It's not worth that risk. It's not. I agree with you, Farrakhan. You can make thousands of dollars a day right now, hand over fist. But what good is it going to do when you're dead?
And that's how I got to see it. Like, and that's the reason I've kept the barbershop closed, because I'm like, yo, I got people offering, right? But it's like, yo, man, that money's not worth it. It's not worth it to risk my life, and it's not worth it to risk yours or the person that comes in after. Sometimes you just gotta, you gotta suck it up. I wish there was, I wish the government did what it should do, right? Which is where the socialism should kick in and make sure that everybody has it. Make sure that nobody is getting evicted or lights are getting turned off. And so that's what I thought, or what I'm sure it's supposed to be the government's role in, to do the things that the individual can't do for themselves.
Correct.
So in a time like this is when the government is supposed to say, we got you. Not, we're going to get you back to work, right? But instead say, we got you, and so we can get this resolved. That's what this government should be saying.
Right, but here becomes part of the challenge. And we asked this question a long time ago, whether the cure was going to be worse than the disease itself. And so when you talk about the government having people, you're not just talking about, you're talking about businesses. You're talking about the government supporting the entire infrastructure of America's economy, right? And
it doesn't have to support this. No. It only has to support the individual human being. It doesn't have to support a corporation, because you can tell the corporation, pause. You can. My thing is, and this is what I've been saying since the whole thing started. If the government just said to the banking system of America, pause for a second, don't collect on debt. We'll get back to that, so that the people won't be displaced it won't crush the individual. That's it. And then you can operate. There are essential workers. We know that, right? So you got to have the essential things that keep, food production. PSE&G has to stay working, so you got to have workers for that. So we know that. But if PSE&G doesn't have to pay debt to its financiers right now, because the government has said we're going to put some type of moratorium or pause on that, so that it can function, pay its employees that have to work essentially, and not have to worry about losing money by paying its overhead, other overhead, where they get its money from, other than people paying their bills, then we can function. Right? The thing is, our government is neglectful in doing that. Our government is not saying we are going to put the individual first. It's trying to tell everybody that, we have to go and work with everything. We got a president that talked about saving airlines, but not saving the individuals that work for the airline.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't even know if I was going to say in theory that sounds good, but I don't even know if in theory that sounds good. I mean, you can't pause. We function in a global economy. Global. So
that's right, though. It's a pandemic. So how about that? That's another problem. If it's a pandemic,
let me finish my.
All around the world. Why is there not one solution or method of doing it around the world? This is not a United States of America disease.
Right,
not
but
a China
you can't. But the idea is, so now we're going down a whole rabbit hole. But the point is, it is not feasible to stop the economy. It just isn't, right? And so, the question is, how do you do it? But here's the other piece of it, to what you were saying. So even with businesses that are opening, you have customers or would-be customers who won't patronize those businesses because of fear of all these things, right? So you have the business owner saying, I want to open, and I want to get back to normal. But there is no normal, because I'm not going to sit down at a... Hello? Just gonna ask you to mute your phone. But I'm not gonna go into that restaurant. I'm not gonna patronize that business. Not right now, because it's putting out... Listen, I just said what? I'm not going to meet my daughter to pick up a cake, right? So why would I go into a business and sit down at a table in a restaurant? Why would I go to get a manicure?
Well, you might not go to the restaurant, but hey, like you just put up 2 days ago, right? Your largest order to date delivered.
Right.
Right? So people, you're going to restaurants.
Oh no. But
they're spending it.
But listen,
and that's the funny part.
Right. So even in that though, right? Even in that, I am witnessing that there is a turn in that industry. Right? So businesses that we were doing business with, we're not anymore. They're out of business. They're gone. They're literally gone. They said, we're not opening back up anymore. We can't. We can't figure out how to exist in this new space. So, yeah, we were fortunate that one of the businesses was able to, and so maybe they capitalized on the other one's customers, right? So maybe that's why that order was so massive.
They selling chicken in the hood. They selling chicken in the hood, brother. You know what it is.
But I'm telling you, they are going out of business. Some of them are going out of business. You'll see them going out of business. You'll see them shuttered in the next couple of months. I've had clients who literally have retooled their entire business to put door fronts up with cutout windows so people can line up on the sidewalk and they can try to take orders like that. And they're trying to see how that's going to work out. But their business has fallen 40, 50, 60%. And when you talk about restaurants working on such small margins to begin with, if we're going to stay on the restaurant, right? And then you talk about spoilage of product because they can't sell it because they anticipated a huge crowd, but then something came out in the news like this that says, oh, it lingers in the air. So now people become cautious and they don't show up to buy the food today and tomorrow. And that food spoils now. They're juggling all of this. There are a bunch of variables that didn't exist before. So I get that they're even trying to open, but they're trying to open in a space that is complicated. And the government's not set up to take care of everybody.
And that's the problem, though. It should be. There should be, and I mean, I agree with everything you just said. But in the end, and this is the thing that I think Americans and maybe people all over the world need to realize is we give up certain liberties and rights to our government, right? We say, government, do this. This is why we allow ourselves to pay tax, right? Because we believe that the government is going to do certain things for us,
right,
by paying the taxes. Right. But we don't demand better results.
So here's a headline, Farrakhan. Here's a headline. And I was a little, I thought that it was dishonest, right? And, we can, and then Vincent, we could talk a little bit about what we discussed prior to going on air in terms of new information that's come out in terms of what America knew, what the Chinese knew, all these other kinds of things. But here's a headline that came out of Apple News. It says, Joe Biden's Trump card, death, disease, and economic pain are real. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. Disease, economic pain has been here before coronavirus, right? It's been a part of the reality of Black Americans since we've been here. And so when now you want to, and we can talk about all of the missteps or blunders, whatever term you want to use, I'll accept it, that Donald Trump has demonstrated during this pandemic. But you cannot say that these financial insecurities didn't exist before him. And so when I saw this, I said, underlying conditions have existed for decades. This was all a house of cards waiting to collapse.
And that's Trump's line now, right? That's Trump blames it on Obama, right? Anything he can't say he's
listen, I'm saying, and I'm sticking to my guns on this. I'm saying even before Obama, right? And in the same article, And the same thing I posted, when I posted it, I said, and I went back to 1952, went back to Martin Luther King. It said 1952, a 23-year-old Martin Luther King Jr. wrote a love letter to Coretta Scott, where he describes his feelings, not just toward her and their future, but also toward America's economic system. So in 52, he was talking about America's economic system. He was talking about these insecurities. So when Biden says here, or when they say in this article, that now you want to talk about economic pain. Well, in 52, Martin Luther King was talking about economic pain. And he was saying that there's something fundamentally wrong with this system. And nothing was done to repair it. Ever. And so all of these people, including Joe Biden, including Obama, name them all, they've all watched it. They all knew it was a house of cards.
True.
And it just so happens that Donald Trump, yeah, he tipped it over with all of his bullshit, but it was a house of cards. And so none of them want to take responsibility. So I'm waiting for, for Apple News to talk about how Democrats and Republicans alike kept perpetrating this fraud.
Don't hold your breath while you wait for that one.
No, I'm not. But you understand what I'm saying?
Know what I'm saying? You're right, Eric. The one thing I could definitely say, you're absolutely right, but it's never going. That part of it is never going to change.
And so, wait a minute, Farrakhan, so when you say going back, right? So people want to go back to what you said. Oh, do you want to go back to your current to your previous circumstance? I'm saying, look, nothing has been resolved. The only thing that they're doing is pointing the finger over here. And I'm not saying that it shouldn't be pointed over there, but you can't not turn that finger around and point it at yourself at some point too. And for them not to do that is just intellectually dishonest. Come on, people, wake up. Isn't that what you said earlier, Vince?
Exactly. Exactly. People got to wake up themselves. And unfortunately, because of money, they keep us from doing it. See, they use money, the need for money, the bills, the debt. That's what keeps this circle really going. Whenever a person gets a little financially strong, they can actually break that chain, right, and go and do something different. You have another window. But as long as you don't have that, then you have to keep in that rat race.
But here's the question. I was asked, and look, I'm going to say this. And hey, Diane, yeah, ask him to share the show. There was and I'm pretty sure, because I haven't heard from her, right? And I just, look, there are no secrets. I'm trying to pull together a candidates forum out of Orange. I'm told that there are about 6 or so candidates running for mayor in Orange. I only know of 2. I was on the phone yesterday with Mayor Dwayne Warren's somebody high up in his campaign who said that the mayor would be interested in a forum. And so I'm looking at trying to put it together on Zoom. So keep your fingers crossed, guys. I hope that we can pull this together. But I had gotten I was reached out to by another candidate, the only other candidate that I knew of, Sean Hunter, and she's running for mayor in Orange. And so I reached out, and she said that she would be happy to come on the show. She was actually supposed to be on the show Friday, and then I wanted to have her on again after, because there's some forum that is about to take place in Orange. And I was hoping to have her on prior to, and then have her come on after the forum, and then have have the mayor on, and then maybe have them on together and try to do something like that, and then create that kind of format to go through all the different cities. I haven't heard back from Sean Hunter, and what I found to be interesting, because when I mentioned to somebody that I had been in touch with her, they said, Eric, we saw that she's taking pictures with like the Essex County Chairman, Leroy Jones, and she's palled up with all these different people. Isn't she a party person? So I said, she might be. So then I started scratching my head, and we were wondering, well, wait a minute, well, what's going on in Orange? Because is Dwayne Warren, who's the incumbent, not a party person? Is there some wrangling going on within the Democratic Party that we're unaware of? And then all of a sudden, the lines of communication with Sean Hunter ceased. So I can only imagine, and I reached out to her several times, but I can only imagine that Leroy Jones, when she told him that she was thinking about coming on the show, that he probably pulled her coattail and said, "No, you don't want to do that," which is problematic, guys. For me, for you, I don't care if they come on the show for me, but it's about you guys, right? It's about this platform is a platform where these elected officials can come on and be asked hard questions, not, pander, but be asked hard questions. They are interviewing for a job, and they know. So it's interesting, right? Because they know that you're here. They know that this platform exists, but they run from it, because they don't want to be held accountable. So I'm letting you guys know that I reached out to her, and that, again, the mayor's office reached out to me, and that he wants to be involved in this. But if you're an Orange resident, I would ask you, because she's going to be knocking on your door, she's going to be sending mailers to your mailbox. Tell her that you want her to come on the Eric Dawson radio show, be a part of the mayoral forum, and you want to be able to ask her questions. You don't want her to hide behind slick bullet points and professional photos that are retouched in Photoshop. You want to see her on Zoom, where you can ask her questions and get answers. So, Vincent, I don't know if you're still there.
I'm still here.
Right.
I was just enjoying the conversation.
What else do we have? I think Vincent disconnected. Hello?
Yeah, I was still there. I was just enjoying the conversation.
Oh, you just rung me back. Okay.
Yeah, you hung me up. You dropped me.
All right. The other, I don't know if there are a bunch of other things to talk about, but I want to give, before you move on to something that you might want to talk about, Vincent, and I do want you to share the information, if you will, with the folks about the, what America knew and what China knew. But I was thinking about, Tyson Foods and talking about the supply chain breaking and the long lines that are at stores when people are waiting, whether it's Walmart or BJ's or Costco or ShopRite. Here's a suggestion, because irrespective of what they tell folks, they say, listen, just get what you need for the week. You don't need to pile up your shopping cart. People still are piling up their shopping carts, which is creating an issue in the supply chain, right? I explained that to you guys last week, how that whole thing works. Here's my suggestion to the stores, if anybody's listening. Limit the number of total items that people can purchase. Not just the limit, like the number of rolls of toilet paper or the number of rolls of paper towels or the amount of hand sanitizer people, but the total number of items. So think about that for a second, Vincent. What if you were told you can only get 20 items? It would speed up, I think, the lines, right? So you wouldn't have people waiting outside for hours to get into the store, because people could only get 20 items or 25 or whatever the number is. And it would allow the supply chain to heal itself and catch up. And because people can come back. So if you wanted to, after you checked out, if you wanted to go back and stand in that line again, you could do that. But most people would be dissuaded from doing that. They would come back on another day, which would give the stores ample time to replenish the shelves. Call it go.
No, I was just going to say, Eric, to what you're saying, though, doesn't that defeat the purpose of the stay in shelter in place like directive? Right? You want people outside the least amount as possible.
No, but I
wouldn't it
believe
make
what
more
would
sense?
happen. But this is what I believe, and I thought about that, Farrakhan. But what I believe would happen is this: if you knew you could only get 25 items, you would sit very carefully and you would think about 25 items. You would also, I would assume, value your time and not want to go stand in another line, right? So you would get the items that you need. I don't think that you. I think that if people thought very carefully about it, you wouldn't have to increase the frequency with which you go to the store. Right? I think that you would get the things that you need that could last you. And then you would go.
But how does that work with family size?
With
How does
what?
that work? Is you and Amina, right, in your house. So you're getting 25 items for you and Amina. But for the person, like you said earlier, who has 3 kids, 4 kids, now you're dealing with a household of 5, 6 people. Now, are you telling me that they should have the same shopping limit as the guy that may be shopping for himself, or just one person?
That's
There you go. Once again,
you know what?
the argument of legislating stupid.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we have.
See, and that's the thing, right? There's so
So I
many
guess.
factors,
So I guess.
right, that you can't
So I guess
there's
we
no
have
one
to. But
there's no
I guess we have to
cookie-cutter
figure it
answer.
out. But
Right.
Because somebody stupid is going to say, you're violating my constitutional rights by only getting 25 items. Just like somebody stupid said, you're violating my constitutional right that I have to wear a mask outside.
Oh, Diane says it won't work for families. She said it only works for single people.
Right. And Eric, I agree with your theory. I agree with it 100%. But what we will run into again is stupid. And then they're going to say, well,
but then there's the smart person, Vince. There's the smart person who will just say, well, I guess my 2-year-old will have to push a cart. Right? And everybody in the family is going to have a cart with 25 items in.
Well, that's not smart. That's ghetto slick.
Well, listen.
That's what's going to happen. Right? You're going to have people going to have a 2-year-old push this cart. Yeah, come on. Right? Trying to make sure everybody gets as much as possible. This is just, unfortunately, because it's been 100 years since we've had a pandemic in America, right, that this is unprecedented. And we are not prepared. We didn't learn from the past 100 years ago how to prepare for it better today. That's what this boils down to. We don't learn from historical lessons.
Right. And Eric, to your point, it's a simple fact that, you're asking people who are in a panic mode and already upset by greed and not having. Now they're going to say, okay, now I'm going to be rationing out food. People forget about, the soup lines. My wife was telling me that, she's talking to her students and the parents, in Camden County, and they on Wednesday, they give out food at the food banks. On Tuesday night, cars were already lined up. We're talking about people who are panicking.
Wait. People were lined up Tuesday night for a food bank that was going to give out food on Wednesday?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So, listen, here's the deal, Farrakhan. I know that, for instance, my sister went to Costco. And I asked her, since she and my mom were going, I asked her to pick up a case of almond milk for me. And she wanted to get a case for herself, and my mother wanted a case of almond milk. They only allowed her to get 2 cases. So it didn't matter how many people were in the family. They only allow you to get 2 cases. So I think that, irrespective of the family size, there can be limits that they put on what you can purchase. So you have to figure out what that is. So somebody has to do somebody who is a higher pay scale than I am can figure that out. But I think that you have to do that. There's no reason, for a number of reasons, for people to come out of a supermarket, and I've seen this, whether it's at Walmart or even at Costco, where one person is pushing 2 shopping carts and they are piled beyond the top of the shopping cart. And you've got people on the outside waiting to get in. So not only are these people taking more food than they need for the week, but they're also taking up time that other people can be in the supermarket shopping. So I'm trying to figure out how to solve for all of that.
How do you solve a hoarder or someone who's just totally greedy? Well, we're just talking about food. We're dealing with that food greed. And that goes into what you were talking about also with the financially insecurities. They're all going into the same thing. That mindset mentality was already there before the virus. Now all this virus has done is exploit them. You see the true nature of people.
Right.
You know, there's no need for you to sit up here with, with shopping carts overloading when we're running into a shortage. Deep food supplies are now shut down because the employees have the virus.
Right. But Diane is saying in a thread that this, she said this leads into controlling how people spend their money, and it's called rationing. Absolutely. But people.
No. But it's America being introduced to welfare. Congratulations, white America. Deal with it.
Yes, but you can ration. I remember they rationed gasoline when gasoline was in short supply. They can ration.
Yes.
They can ration. They ration water now. When you go into certain stores, you can only get one case of water. So they're rationing. So I'm simply saying extend it because people have I think gone beyond where they need to be in terms of how they're reacting to this thing.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's people now showing their true self. They're now into the hoarding, the greed, the everything. We are seeing the worst in humanity through this virus. But on the other hand, we're also seeing the best of humanity. There have been people who have stepped up to the plate. There are people who say that, no, I don't need 2 chickens. I could just deal with 1 and give someone else an opportunity to feed their family. There are people who have been lined up, the night before to get food from the food bank, so that they could be first. And, then when the food bank opens, they throw it up with different people in their cars.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yet there are people who donate lots of food to the food banks. So, we are seeing people coming out to be their true selves. And I enjoy seeing the positive. But when I see the negative, the guy with 3 shopping carts filled with toilet paper, that just does something to me. You know what I mean? That's a case of toilet paper that could have went to somebody else. And then you look at, toilet paper isn't one of the biggest and most emergency functions that you're going to need in your household. So, this thing breeds
Well, some people might...
Now, wait. Oh, no, let's not get into the toilet paper debate, because that's a whole 2-hour show.
Hey, listen, some people might differ with you, man. That level of anxiety kicks up a little bit when you're there and you look over and that roll is almost empty.
Yeah, that level of anxiety kicks up, but you know what? Hey, there's a simple method of, when you take a crap, get in the shower. I mean, that remedies that. So there are a whole lot of other remedies, but people go for the immediate use of or the immediate greed and hoard. There was a guy selling it online. They had to take his post off. He was selling toilet paper at twice the amount per case. I mean, come on, people. We're in this together. And we had to get through this together. The same thing with the economy. We're talking about supporting, almost $1.3 trillion for big businesses when it's the little man that's hurting.
Yeah. And
we don't use common sense.
Speaking of little man who's hurting, one thing that I thought about in terms of these jobs and trying to bring these jobs back. So you've got schools haven't opened. They're trying to open up these jobs, and a lot of these jobs that they're trying to open are lower level kind of jobs, right? Where people are financially insecure, where they may not have sick leave and other kinds of things. And when they open them up, Vincent, those folks now have to go back to work. So their unemployment ends, right? And now they've got children still at home because the schools haven't opened. and they don't make enough money, a lot of them, to be able to manage their bills as it is. And now they might be burdened with trying to find, in this pandemic, daycare.
Correct.
See, there are a lot of issues. So now I'm sitting home and I finally found some relief, right? Because the job is shut down. My $1,200 came, right? I'm getting unemployment now. I'm still struggling to make ends meet. The government is working on, and I want to talk about this too. Diane posted this. Governor Murphy said that that landlords should be able to use a tenant's security to help cover rent. But all these things are being worked out, right? And then all of a sudden, my employer says, "Hey, look, you can come back to work now. You can come back and wash these dishes, or you can come back and whatever the job is." And so now, I've got 1, 2, 3 kids at home, and I'm trying to figure that out. But I have to go back to work. Call or go.
Hey, I was driving when you were talking about the Tyson chicken industry of the meat and produce and all of those industries.
Mm-hmm.
He's setting a false narrative, and that the food chain is breaking. And I don't think it's breaking as much as he can't profiteer the way that he was. For example, Smithfield Pork Company and Tyson Chicken, they're having these large outbreaks because they don't want to pay nobody to work, and they don't want to create the right conditions for people to work. And the COVID-19 is running through their employees. And on top of that, the restaurant industry, you talked about that earlier, they're not, that portion of the food chain can't be delivered to. So there's a calamity going on logistically with that creates a situation that, to him, the food chain is breaking. And then on top of that, people can't go to the restaurants and they don't have the income, so they're lining up at food banks. Yeah. We have a bigger infrastructure problem here that has been neglected, with the labor laws and, profiteering and all of these other things that are causing a situation where these companies are putting it back off on the people. Like, no, this is what's, happening. Now, I go to different Walmarts all over the place because they generally have room for bigger trucks to park. And only in areas that's overly populated do they have people lining up in stores. And lining up because you can't let but so many people in the store, and so many people come out of the store, they let people in. So naturally, like you're saying, people are doing their shopping, but we need to look at over developing areas as much as we do the problem, because it's like the governor, he created a situation where, all right, downstate is getting overpopulated with patients. We're going to send them out through all of these rural communities that all of these other hospitals have. I mean, they have, so he lessened the burden on what was going on downstate. So it's, your frame of mind solving this problem is headed in the right direction. You just have to look at it a little bit broader, in the sense that, these companies are having problems just like everybody else, but their problem is different from our problem. Some people's problem is just getting food. Their problem is they can't deliver what they've been delivering, and it's like the milk company somewhere was destroying all of the milk because they couldn't get it to the schools. So they had to let the milk go back into the damn ground. So yeah, we have a logistics problems more than a.
So listen. Let me read what the article says, because it's quite interesting. It said the board chairman of Tyson Foods is warning that millions of pounds of meat will disappear from the national food supply chain as the coronavirus outbreak forces food processing plants to shutter. Says the food supply chain is breaking, John Tyson wrote in a full-page advertisement. So he put an ad out, right? Published Sunday in the New York Times. There will be limited supply of our products available in grocery stores until we are able to reopen our facilities that are currently closed, he wrote. In recent weeks, the major poultry producer has temporarily suspended operations of plants across the country. The company halted operations Wednesday at an Iowa plant that is crucial to the nation's pork supply. In addition to meat shortages, this is a serious food waste issue. Farmers across the nation simply will not have anywhere to sell their livestock to be processed. Right? It says millions of animals, chickens, pigs, and cattle will be depopulated based on the closure of our processing facilities, he added. 4 employees.
Eric?
Yep.
You know what that letter is? That ad that he put in, you know what it is?
Propaganda.
Bullshit.
Propaganda. Because he ain't mentioned the fact that they had to close because there was, COVID-19 was running rampant through the damn place. And
Right. No,
like
no.
I said,
But the fact,
right.
but the
No,
fact
what he's trying to do is brace America, because what he wants to do now is gouge everybody with raising the price of his product.
Profiteering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not doing a service.
But the plants had to close because the government stepped in because the virus was running through the plants.
No. But look, no doubt. So we call it propaganda. We call it what it is. The fact of the matter is the plants are closed. The fact of the matter is
they're closed.
They're closed. The fact of the matter is these farmers who have this livestock have fewer places to take their livestock to be processed now. Right?
Okay.
So
hold it right there, Eric. They don't have any place to take their livestock to be processed, which means you don't kill the livestock. It's not going to short. Chickens are still going to run. Cows are still going to be alive.
Yeah, but they don't make the chickens are not. The chickens are produced in a way that they've gotten it down to a egg is hatched, and a couple hours later,
look, they're livestock, but we gotta move that product, right? It can't. They just can't sit there.
Exactly. The manufacturer wants to move his chickens. So let me put up an ad to say that, oh my God, there's going to be a food shortage because I got chickens running all around my chicken farm.
But
there's no food shortage.
No, but there is a food shortage because you have to process.
It's not a food shortage as much as the restaurants are closed down. People don't going to the restaurants and not going to the schools and not going to the hotels, not going to all of these different places where eateries are. So they don't have nowhere for those meat products to go.
This
is what,
and so there's no place for those meat products to go. That means his cash register ain't ringing.
No, I'm not. Nobody's disputing that. But what I am saying is that once that happens, if I am that processing plant, right, for whatever reason, the virus has run rampant, or my cash register is not ringing, I now have to make some financial decisions about closing my plant because I'm laying off workers, right? So now if there's no processing plant to process this meat for those who are consuming it, there's going to be a shortage.
Poor Tyson.
No. So we can talk about poor Tyson.
I get that.
I think Tyson has a role to play in this. But the fact of the matter is, it's going to be a shortage.
Okay. I know plenty of people who survived off of lima beans.
I just bought 4 bags of beans yesterday. But
Hey, listen.
is there a shortage, or is there a shortage, or the people are going to the store to prepare their own food? I mean,
There you go.
Well, we have to ask that
You
question.
know.
But listen, you got lima beans, I got navy beans. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, I need to get navy. I got navy beans.
See,
Navy beans are good for you.
and that's the whole thing. But let's look at Mr. Tyson. When the virus broke out, he intimidated his employees to keep coming back to work, threatening to fire them if they don't show. They don't make a decent wage or get health insurance. So these people came to work sick, and he got what he deserved.
Well, Amazon is going through it too. Let me put a disclaimer out there: the views of the guests and the host, because you know they listening. But no, Amazon is about. They got a little outbreak. Not a little outbreak. They had an outbreak in Amazon warehouses too. And
Sure.
this is going to start popping up all over the place.
Well, listen, another article just popped up on my feed, right, where Cuomo's talking about, again, the virus living on surfaces now for 72 hours. So he's talking about buses and subway stations. So like, as people begin to move around, I don't understand how this thing is going to work.
It's not going to work because we're talking about, they're calling now the frontline employees. These are people with those minimum wage jobs who all live in heavily dense populated areas. Majority of them take public transportation, and in terms of daycare centers. Now, there is no testing to know who has the virus or not. So all these people are doing is spreading the virus. You take your child to a daycare center and somebody else saying, look, I got to go get my minimum wage too. They take their sick child in. Now your child is sick and they bring that home to you. All it does is spread the disease because of greed.
Yeah, well, I mean, people need to start. There's a couple of documentaries out there about the 1918 pandemic and how they rushed people back to work, and twice as many people got killed. So people need to brush up on the 1918 pandemic, and you will understand what the hell's going on now. Exactly. I'm going to get off the phone. Have a good one.
Hey, thanks.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
So that's the whole thing. Now he's pushing an ad and pushing his narrative. And it's not about society or helping the common man with that. No, it's all about, oh my God, I may have to lose my yacht. Come on, people. We got to be smarter than that. Like, we can't survive off of chicken.
Well, they're saying they won't be chickens either.
Okay, I said.
But what I tell you, that's why I'm looking into my...
Bro, listen, I got a lima bean recipe that'll knock your socks off.
Listen, man, that's why I'm trying to see if we can get chicken coops here. If I can grow some. Would you not tell you that? I said, what I tell you? I'm growing my vegetables. I want some chickens. And I'm getting my gun permit.
For when they sneak in at night trying to get your chicken.
Trying to get my chickens. Call or go.
Real quick question. Hey, Eric, can you post that article in the feed about the supply chain challenge? And my question to Vincent is, could you drill down a little bit more on Camden? Because Newark is a lot like Camden, although Camden is smaller. When I worked in Philadelphia with children, some of my kids were from that Mount Ephraim area of Camden. And when I would go to meet them at the train station in downtown Camden, I was shocked because it looked like Camden looked like Newark did in 1993, before Newark got fancy with the development. So, and Eric, good point about the supply chain being disrupted. I'm not an economic expert, but I think that could be, there's not as much institutional volume with those customers of the large producers. You still have the major chains buying things, but you have a lot of overstock with the mid-level distributors. But thank you, and I'm going to keep listening, and God bless the show.
Absolutely, bro.
Well, basically in Camden, it is Newark 1993. And a little history, Camden had the actual same level of development that Newark did. However, Camden is controlled by Norcross, who basically takes all these corporations and gets the grant money because they have to get a grant signer or writer from the Norcross group. You have to pay them to get the grant from the government, which didn't make sense. So now we're looking at one person dominating and controlling a specific industry or group with their economic growth and development, and it is stagnated. I mean, you're looking at right now, we are going into May, and the school system still has just announced that they're going to set it up so that the children can get their computers just in time for the last semester grading. So you're looking at the situation where the food banks, and Camden Food Bank takes care of Camden County, Gloucester County, and Vineland. So it is depleted. Like I said, they give money to these these church pantries, et cetera, that they give out, and people are lining up a day ahead just to get it. And in fact, in 3 hours, their resources are gone. And we're talking, and the worst thing about it is that, some of these people really, they're driving up in these luxury cars and these Mercedes and BMWs, to get food out of a food bank. It does not make sense. The level of greed or the level of hoarding, or as they say, gluttony in the Bible. They're taking away from people who truly need it. And that has to stop. Not to mention the fact that, they've taken so much government money now that the resources are completed, that the kids can't get the computers. That has to stop. Now we're telling people to go to work without even getting a test. So they got the virus. It has to stop. This is about time that we start looking at, as we've been talking on this show, that as white people want to get back to normal. No, black people, we need to start putting our foot down, and we want a new norm. We want a normal where this bullcrap that's been going on, that we have been taking a blind eye to, has to stop.
Yeah.
You got kids who are out there, trying to sell hubs and stuff like that, just to get something to feed their family with. Mothers, grandparents, and all those other things, trying to, their hustle is shut down now. Now they don't know what to do because they got a hustle and not a business. Or they're hustlers and not entrepreneurs. We got people who are now suffering from, the diseases that they've had for years, but instead of getting legislation to actually correct that, now it's exploited and they're dying from it. This has got to stop.
Yeah.
When are we going to stop sitting up here being a victim and taking it? This has been going on since the Reconstruction of slavery.
Right, but yeah, so, but we're not, right? Because look, so I'm going to go back and say everything that we're going through right now, we've been experiencing. It's just that the heat has gotten turned up, right? It's more dire now. It's always been a house of cards. People have always been, black people in particular, have always been financially insecure, right? They're food insecure, housing insecure. Go down a list of things.
Oh, we haven't always been that, because this didn't actually start getting worse for us until after the post-Reconstruction. We're talking about where the presidential election came to a tie. So the Southern whites said, okay, we're going to vote for this guy, but you got to take the federal troops out of here.
Right.
Right. So once they did that, then the old Union soldiers rallied against and started attacking blacks. We started getting voter intimidation, where they were hanging black people if they came to vote. We started getting political intimidation because they were not now backed by somebody who can stand up to these whites with guns. So now the black politicians started going out. Once they started going out, then legislation came against them, not allowing them to have businesses. So they started surviving off of the hustle. Then they started taking their hustle. So no. This thing has been going on for, we're talking about, close to 200 years now. 200 years of this. When are we going to stay? Okay, no, for us to get economic power is that we have to have political power. And right now, if you're doing with the politicians who haven't done anything except for now they want to get on the show and talk because we've been talking against them. Now they want to, voice their opinion. No. They should have been doing that when they started putting together this bill to give you $1,200, which they knew that most of these people don't qualify because they don't have jobs anyway. No. They got to go. Every last one of them.
All of them.
They gotta go.
All of them.
Yeah, exactly.
All of them. I mean, which is one of the things that I would love to, which is why I think it's critical to have these forums with these elected officials to say, look, my very first question, I'll give you a cheat sheet, guys. My very first question is, what responsibility, if any, do you take for folks being in the condition that they're in financially, in terms of housing, in terms of the lack of job preparedness, school failure? What responsibility, if any, do you take? Because you never hear any of them take any responsibility. None. They blame it on somebody else. Always. Right. Even people, even politicians who, and I'm not talking about, I'm specifically talking about those who are running for re-election. So they've already been in office for 4 years, right? So when they ran on talking about how their predecessor didn't get the job done, which is why they want to be there. Then when they get there, then they don't do any self-evaluation, right? The needle hasn't been moved. They've just shifted the blame to somebody else.
Exactly. So now the Eric Dawson show is putting heat on them. Oh, now they want to move. Oh, we want to have a forum on rent. We want to do this. No. Y'all should have did that a long time ago. 6 weeks ago, to be exact.
Well, no. But see, I'm going to go back further. Not 6 weeks ago, Vincent. They knew. So for instance, if we're going to just talk about Newark, for example, 2-3 years ago, I had a gentleman, Victor Monteroso, on the show who worked with a bunch of people to organize and get legislation passed. They did it, not the city council. This organization did it to adjust the rent control ordinance, right? And the mayor then fought against them about this. So I'm saying there was some understanding. And this is why I'm saying it's a house of cards. Because the problems that organization was highlighting existed. And all of the elected officials fought against these renters, right, to adjust this. And so now here we are. And so now you want to step up and talk about how you want to put Band-Aids on it. When they were saying, no, there's a structural problem here that needs to be addressed. But you lack the political courage to address it because you were locked in with the landlords, right? And we can have conversations about why that is, what monies may be changing hands under the table. But you're locked in with them, and so you played a part in creating this insecurity. In working to build this house of cards. And now it's collapsing. And you don't want to take responsibility for it. You don't want to say, I should have sided with the tenants. Yeah, we should have strengthened these things. Yeah, we should have made sure that folks were not insecure. Yeah, we should have done all of these things. You're not taking any responsibility at all.
Exactly.
And you want to be reelected.
Now, since they realize that, my political job now is in jeopardy and I won't get reelected, now let me grandstand for the people.
Right.
Really? It weren't for the people years ago.
So first I'm saying, look, guys, pause, and say, well, the mess you want to clean up, who created it? I ask you this. See, those are the questions that politicians will get asked here on the Eric Dawson radio show. The mess you want to clean up, who created it? Let's have the honest conversation. See, and I'm tired of like the Democrats pointing all the way across the aisle at the Republicans, but none of them pointing at any Democrat. Right? And then the Republicans pointing across the aisle at all of the Democrats, but the Republicans not pointing at any Republicans.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's look at something else in terms of politics. Do you actually think that these big businesses are just funding the Republicans only?
Of course not. Of course
There
not.
you
They
go.
hedge their bets, don't they? We talked about
Yeah,
that.
that's right. That's right. That's right. So these people that you've been voting Democrat for that you think are going to represent you, no, they're still in line with big pharma, big corporations, Tyson Chicken, all of them. That's why they haven't made legislation against all that. They're still, these Democrats that you voted for, they're still in line with the landlord and the housing developers. They're not in your favor. All of these politicians that you have been voting for are still in line that got you in the position that you're in right now. So, Eric, to answer your question, one of the biggest people who have to take accountability of the situation that we're in are the voters. Because you keep voting for the same people who have been giving you the same thing. Now you are in need, and you're calling these people, and you're getting what you always got. Nothing.
Oh gosh, Vincent, my head hurts. My head hurts. I mean, I hope, guys, you understand this. Hey, Vincent, what do you think about this whole vote by mail?
Oh, well, that'll go over well since the Republicans right now are trying to shut down the post offices. So then they say, okay, well, we'll vote by internet. Okay, well, we know that the Russians hacked that last election. So who stands to get reelected?
There's no reprieve.
There is. It's everybody has to get to the point where they're just sick and tired right now of being sick and tired.
Do you think we're getting there?
I think we're getting there. I think we're getting there. Because right now people are sick and tired trying to figure out where they're going to get some money from and realizing that these politicians aren't giving it to them, they're giving them to large corporations. You know, Ruth Chris, $100,000 off of a small $100 million off of a small business loan. People are getting sick and tired right now because that $1,200 is gone for those who qualified to get it, and those who don't qualify, they're looking at, you know, their unemployment, which the number is always busy. People are sick and tired right now of going to the Walmart and having to guess if they got enough money to pay A, B, C, or D. People are sick and tired right now when you got a landlord who knows that you don't have a job because they shut things down, but they're still demanding that you pay them rent, even though they're in the corporate, the big politicians are in their pocket. And they know that you can't defend against them. People should be sick and tired right now, just in their condition, where you know where the cards are stacked against them as soon as they step out their door.
Yeah.
God.
So Munira, and thanks for tuning in, Munira. Be safe out there on the road. She's tuning in from St. Louis.
Hey, Munira, drive safe, honey.
Yeah, drive safe. She says.
Don't forget the alumni Zoom on Wednesday.
She says, "Where is the bailout for the people?"
It was called $1,200.
You know, and the question becomes, when are the people going to demand more? So the government, like Farrakhan said when he called, they showed you what they think you're worth, $7.25 an hour or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
They've told you what they believe you're worth, $1,200. Well, $100 million goes to Ruth Chris. They do make good steaks, though.
Yeah, just bring out your platinum visa.
But you know what, though? We should all get to eat free now, right? Because they got money from, it's too complicated for people to understand.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Ruth Chris should be having some. You know, I haven't seen Ruth Chris donate anything to anybody.
Oh no.
Or the Shake Shack. But they got that money that's coming out of the taxpayers' pocket. You know, so it does not make any sense now. I mean, we're supposed to be all in this together, and we're finding out that we're all in this shutdown together.
You know what this
but
reminds
there's
me
still
of, and
people
I don't know
making
that
money.
I don't think she ever really said it, but it was attributed to her, Marie Antoinette, right? Where the people were suffering, and she was so out of touch with them that what did she say?
Oh, they said they went to and they said that the people are starving; they have no bread. So her response was, "Okay, let them eat cake."
Right. And so that's kind of where we seem to be, right? Like, yo, people are starving. Like, people can't figure it out. People can't, and they're just so out of touch. And
Right.
so maybe the guillotine has to come down, and maybe some heads have to roll. We'll see. But Vincent, remember we had this conversation, and I said to you what? I said, I don't believe that the people are gonna respond. I said, I believe that even in this pain, even with all that's going on, with it being right in front of them, what their government is doing to them, that they're going to vote in, probably 90% of them, going to vote them back in office. I said that to you, and I still believe it. I don't believe that they have reached that tipping
Level
point.
of being sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah, I don't think they've reached the tipping point yet. I think that
Well-
that they are still suffering from the Stockholm syndrome, right?
Well-
They're gonna go and they're gonna embrace their congressman, and they're gonna embrace their senator, and they're gonna embrace the party, right? The same party that has played a part in creating the circumstance that they're in. They're gonna embrace their party.
Well, see, people have to look at the reality, because the reality that they're facing right now is that we're coming into a long month with short money. The reality is that you're looking for help from these people that you elected in, and they've done nothing. And you're realizing that they've always done nothing. Reality has to come in that we have made a mistake in these people that we have in office, and we don't have to live in Stockholm syndrome and be on the side of these people who oppress us.
Yeah.
We are empowered to get the oppressors out by voting.
And I'm telling you, and not only that, but look, we had the conversation earlier about, America going back to work, but I'm in agreement with, with AOC. I come down on that side in the end, right? I understand the pain. I understand the family suffering. I understand the babies needing to eat. I understand all those things. But I think that there's a way for the community to get together and get around those people and to provide for them through, other means, right? But I think if we hold the line, if we can come together and hold the line and take care of those most vulnerable within our community by ourselves, without having to become the commodity to the wealth and power of the corporation, white supremacy, I think we can bring them to their knees. I really do. I think that the Tysons and the rest of them, I think we can bring them all to their knees. And then, but we have to have demands. My dad always said, everybody wants to get to the table, but we don't have a plan. So, right, we got to have a plan when we go to the table. Call or go.
Eric, I think that's the flaw in what you just said. Right? You said without them having to be the commodity for, that the group of power. I forget how you say it, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, they already are the commodity. Yeah. So if you already are something, you can't do something without being it, right? So what ends up happening is the reason I called up is because going to what you guys both just said, the situation is that people are, I don't want to say starving, but we're not in a position to change our position. We're asking someone to change our position for us. That's what is the problem. If you're going to change your position, you can't change your position by asking the guy that wants you in that position to change it for you. You've got to change it. And that's the part people aren't going to be willing to do, because it would mean, instead of saying, government, put me back to work, right? Which is what we're asking now. Like the people, when you say people aren't sick and tired, and they're not ready yet, Vincent, for something different. If they were, then they wouldn't be asking to go back to work in the same situation that keeps them where they're currently at. They'd be looking for something different. They'd be like, you know what? Forget government and forget that job, that old job. I don't care if y'all never open it back up. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to spend these last 58, 59 days that we've been sitting in the house on some online training and get a different skill. I'm going to learn how, instead of pushing the machine, I'm going to learn how to program the machine. But see, the people didn't do that. And because the people don't do those things that change their life, like the lady Munira, because she changed her life so that it would be something better. If you've known her as long as I've known her, you've seen Munira go from another member of the hood to being a street peddler, selling the books and stuff on her stand, to being a construction worker, to now driving trucks. See, that's a person changing their life. Right? And most people don't do that. If they get a job, they'll stay at a sucky job, a sorry, barely can pay your bills job for 30 years, hoping that they're going to get something out of retirement and 401k. They don't change, they don't take the risk to change their lives. And I know Munira, if she's listening, I hope she don't get upset for me calling her out by saying it like that, but it's the truth. I've known her 30 plus years, and I've seen her go from me and her all doing the same thing, right, to when we changed our lives, okay? And I can remember her right across from on Branford Place with her stand. She had one of them little stands out there selling goods, right? And then she went and started doing construction. And then after construction, she started she's driving trucks. That's a person making a change in their life because they didn't like the situation. Most Americans won't do that. Most Americans are not going to toss it all just for the chance to do something better. So this is why we stay in this problem. This is why you can refer to a 1952 letter from Martin Luther King about the condition of the people, and it's still the same in 2020.
Well, so you know that Munira,
like almost 70 years, ain't it?
Yes. Yeah. So just so you know, Munira gives you a thumbs up. She says you're speaking the truth. So she's not a kid.
Oh, okay. Because you know me and her always be battling, but it's nothing but love. Whether we battle or not, there's nothing but love. But again, like I said, people change their lives. People do something different. The thing is, most people don't. So when Vincent says, I think people are ready, no, they're not ready, Vince. If they was ready, no one would be asking to go back to work right now. And no one would. No one would be asking to go to a job that you've had for 1, 2, 5, 10, 15 years, and you can't survive 57 days without it.
Yeah.
So
you invest 20 years in your life,
and you only got is that they want to go back to work at the risk of their own lives because they don't want to change.
They want to get hooked back to the Matrix, brother. If this was the Matrix, you know how they always, you get a person out the Matrix, Neo got out. Remember the guy with the stake? He wanted to get plugged back in once he got out. And that's exactly what people want. They want to be plugged into the Matrix because the Matrix feels good.
Well, no, what did he say? He said
the Matrix makes that steak taste good.
He said not only plug me back in, he said, but make me somebody important.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. That's what they want, man. People want to be in the Matrix. They do not want that struggle outside of it. They don't want it. But I'm going to sit back and listen. I'm loving today's show, bro. Loving today's show.
All right.
I think that, if people realize that they are the commodity, and the biggest commodity that they have right now, upcoming this November, in fact, not even this November, but this June, is their vote.
Yeah, your vote, like right now, guys, look, I mean, it is all right here. And here's my biggest concern. And, people, I don't think people knew that the pandemic, or maybe they did, I don't know. All right, the conspiracy theorists will say that. But that we were going to be in the midst of a pandemic. But remember, everybody kept saying that 2020 was going to be a game changer, that it was going to redefine a whole bunch of stuff. And so here we are. If it is as raw and as apparent and as clear and in your face as it is, and you're still not ready to make a major change in your life in terms of how you vote and who you vote for and why you vote, then I don't know what will convince you. If you can't look now and say that all of them, not just Democrat, but Republican, all of them are responsible. And that, look, you got some responsibility too, which is what Farrakhan was saying, right?
They all were. They just released the group that gave them the first heads up. Back in October, when they tracked it back to Wuhan, China, at the wet market. And for those who don't know what wet markets is, that's where they have livestock, live animals, and they butcher them right there, and people get their product and go home. Now, so they know that the virus came from one of the animals, and it went to the people. But the thing about the Blue Dot Group is that they were initiated, and they were one of the groups that got a grant under the Obama administration with the SARS outbreak and Ebola. They're the ones who did the tracking for the kids at the spring break in Florida, and said, contracting the virus, and this is how it spread. They're linked in with every social media group. They're linked in with the NSA. So they knew back in October where the outbreak happened, and they had confirmed 30 deaths from this virus.
Mm-hmm.
The president knew.
Yeah.
Then after they confirmed that, they gave the information to the WHO in December. But once again, the president knew. The president knew, his council knew, the senators knew, the representatives, they all knew back then. So when the outbreak really happened and they were starting to talk about closing, these people who were in the know, what did they do?
Nothing.
They took their money out of the stock market.
No, they did nothing for us.
They did nothing for us. They did everything for them.
Vincent, I didn't know who you were talking about, who they did something for. See, you weren't clear. So what did they do for themselves?
Right.
They took money out of the stock market. What did they do for us? Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. Nobody, not one of them, got on air and said, this thing is happening, this thing is bad, you guys need to be prepared, we need to get some money going, we need to get FEMA in gear, we need to get legislation in place. No, They did nothing.
And you know what they're doing now? And so, to be clear, guys, they're making it seem like what they're doing is for humanitarian purposes, but it's not. It's all political now, right?
It's all grandstanding, because they're about to lose their jobs.
That's it. It's all about saving their political career. That's it. So listen, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. So I resolved this. I was texting back and forth with my daughter. She's going to come. She's going to leave a cake on the thing. We're going to take the cake. Well, she's going to give me the cake. But she's going to come, dressed with a mask and everything on. She's going to hand me the cake. We're going to put the cake in the car, and we're going to go for a walk in the park. But we're going to social distance. But she said, listen, Daddy, driving 90 miles to come and see you would be worth it. So I'm happy for that. So that's what we'll do. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please. And Shay, I posted the article in the thread. Munira, please drive safely. Farrakhan, as always, thanks for tuning in. Mike, drive safely on the road. Vincent, it's been a pleasure once again to have a conversation with you about what's going on. And guys, if you are not financially prepared to survive, who are you holding responsible? That is the question. Who are you holding responsible? Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Until then,
all right,
we're out.
Be safe, be blessed.